February 18, 2001. It's a date forever seared into the minds of racing fans. It was supposed to be a day of triumph, the culmination of the Daytona 500. Instead, it became a day of profound loss, a day that changed NASCAR forever. The roar of the engines was silenced by the weight of tragedy. We lost my dad, Dale Earnhardt Sr., in a crash on the final lap. The world seemed to stop spinning. The grandstands, usually a cacophony of cheers, fell eerily silent. Millions watched on television, their hearts sinking as the gravity of the accident became clear. It was a moment of disbelief, a collective gasp followed by a chilling realization. We had just witnessed something truly awful. The final lap of the Daytona 500 is always a heart-pounding spectacle. Cars bunch up, jockeying for position, each driver hungry for the win. It was no different that day. Dad was in the thick of it, battling for position. He was running third, his black number 3 Chevrolet a familiar sight at the front of the pack. Then, it happened. Contact was made. Dad's car, clipped by another, veered sharply towards the outside wall. The impact was violent, the car slamming into the concrete barrier at nearly 180 miles per hour. The car, mangled and smoking, slid to a stop. The silence was deafening. The world held its breath. Emergency crews rushed to the scene, working frantically to extricate Dad from the wreckage. Hope flickered, a desperate wish that somehow he had survived. But deep down, a sense of dread began to creep in. The wait for news felt like an eternity. Then came the announcement delivered by NASCAR President Mike Helton, his voice heavy with emotion. "We've lost Dale Earnhardt." The words hit like a punch to the gut, confirming our worst fears. The man they called the Intimidator, the 7-time NASCAR champion, was gone. The autopsy report confirmed the grim truth. Dad had died instantly from a basilar skull fracture, a catastrophic injury caused by the violent impact. The force of the crash had been too much for even his strong body to withstand. It was a stark reminder of the inherent dangers of racing, a sport where drivers push themselves and their machines to the absolute limit. The report also revealed other injuries, broken ribs, a fractured sternum, a broken ankle. But it was the basilar skull fracture that had been fatal. It was a type of injury all too common in high-impact crashes, and it highlighted a critical area of safety that needed urgent attention. Section 5. Whispers of Doubt, the seatbelt controversy. In the wake of the tragedy, rumors and speculation swirled. Some questioned the integrity of Dad's seatbelt, suggesting it might have failed on impact. Others pointed to the lack of a head and neck support or Hans device, a safety innovation that was not yet mandatory in NASCAR. The controversy surrounding the seatbelt was particularly difficult. Some experts argued that the seatbelt had indeed failed, contributing to the severity of Dad's injuries. Others maintained that the force of the impact was simply too great for any restraint system to withstand. The debate raged on, adding another layer of complexity to an already heartbreaking situation. Section 6. A safety revolution, NASCAR's response. Dad's death sent shockwaves through the racing world. It was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that even the most skilled drivers were not invincible. NASCAR, to their credit, took immediate action. They launched a thorough investigation into the crash, determined to learn from the tragedy and prevent similar incidents from happening again. The investigation led to a series of sweeping safety reforms. The Hans device, once optional, became mandatory for all drivers. Safer barriers, energy-absorbing walls designed to reduce impact forces were installed at tracks across the country. New rules were implemented for seat belts, seats, and other safety equipment. NASCAR was determined to make the sport safer, even if it meant making drastic changes. Section 7. The Intimidator's Legacy. Dad's passing left a void in the racing world that can never be filled. He was more than just a driver, he was an icon, a legend. He was the Intimidator, known for his aggressive driving style, his never-give-up attitude, and his unwavering determination to win. He was a 7-time NASCAR champion, tied with Richard Petty for most championships at the time, but Dad's legacy extends far beyond his accomplishments on the track. His death sparked a safety revolution in NASCAR, a legacy that continues to save lives today. He may be gone, but his impact on the sport will never be forgotten. Section 8. A son's perspective. Losing my dad was the hardest thing I've ever experienced. He was my hero, my mentor, my best friend, but even in my grief I found solace in knowing that his death had not been in vain. It had forced NASCAR to confront its safety shortcomings and make changes that would protect future generations of drivers. I continued to race, honoring Dad's memory every time I strapped into a car. And I became an advocate for safety, working with NASCAR to make the sport even safer. Dad's death was a tragedy, but it also served as a catalyst for positive change. Section 9. Driving towards a safer future. Motorsports will always have an element of danger. It's part of what makes it so thrilling, but we owe it to the drivers, to their families, and to ourselves to do everything we can to mitigate that danger. Dad's death was a stark reminder that we can always do more to improve safety. NASCAR has made remarkable strides in safety since that fateful day in 2001. But the work is never done. We must continue to innovate, to push the boundaries of safety technology, to create a racing environment where drivers can compete at the highest level without risking their lives. That's the legacy Dad would have wanted, and it's a legacy we must all strive to uphold.